I'm Laura Starling with Queen City Fame, where we put the Q in Queen and the F in Fame. Born and raised in a Queen City, talk to him, he's P Diddy, but in a comedic Philly. Comedy's so strong, he will have you on your knees. Dave Martin, now he's the one to see. Hi, Dave.
That was hot. Was that off the dome? That was hot. I didn't know you had bars. Okay.
I got
okay.
bars.
I love it already.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, so you grew up here in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Sure did. Proud of it.
What part?
Beatties Ford Road.
Beatties Ford Road.
Beatty Ford Road. The right way to say it is Beatties Ford Road.
Right.
But really people just say Beatty Ford.
Beatty Ford.
Or the Ford. Right down the street from here. Right down the street from West Charlotte High School to be more specific.
West Charlotte High School. So is that where you went to high school? Is West Charlotte?
Now I went to Charlotte Catholic High. Okay.
Oh.
Shout out to Charlotte Catholic High.
Shout out to Charlotte Catholic High.
The Cougars in the building. But it's like I have a dual citizenship. Like I went to Charlotte Catholic, but everybody knows me. They went to West Charlotte. Mm-hmm. A lot of them think that I went to West Charlotte.
Right.
They've even added me to some West Charlotte alumni groups on Facebook, and I dare not take myself out of the group.
So when did you start testing out your comedic skills?
Probably junior high school, somewhere in there, class clown.
Yeah.
You know, interrupting the class. But the problem was I would interrupt the class and say something silly, but I was on point with my lesson plan. You know, I was making good grades. You know, they couldn't really fuss at me. So started then, been a clown for a long time. Even in my family, I see people, make observations. That's all it is really. And just be silly, just be silly all the time. And then sometimes people was like, dude, you ever thought about doing stand-up? I had heard it from my very close friends probably almost 10 years before I ever did comedy.
Now, did your family and friends, because you say your friends was like, you should do comedy, mm-hmm. but did your family, because that's a whole different ball game,
right.
say, are you doing this comedy thing? Are you serious?
Well, let me be honest. My family never said you should go do comedy.
Right.
But they was always just like, boy, you a nut, boy, you crazy. So when I told my parents and siblings and people in my family that I was gonna do comedy, that I was gonna take a shot at it, they was like, yeah, you probably should. So
really?
Yeah.
What did you think when you got that phone call from HBO?
That was
and that was the Bad Boys of Comedy.
That was a Bad Boys of Comedy. Okay. Shout out to HBO. Shout out to P Diddy, Puffy, Sean Combs, all of his 37 different names, whichever one applies. Shout out to Walter Latham. Walter Latham is the co-producer along with P Diddy, who was behind the scenes.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, shout out to him too. I had to do an audition. It was in Washington, D.C. Right. I went to Washington, D.C. to audition for a show, mm-hmm. and did really well. And the comedians, you know how we have formal camaraderie. We over there on the side, and they're like, dude, where you from? I'm from Charlotte, man. You gonna stay for the next show? I was like, what next show? What's going on? They doing an audition for a new show that's coming out on HBO.
That you had no idea about.
Didn't know about it.
Oh,
didn't even know what the name of it was gonna be.
Right.
Didn't know any of that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So they were like, dude, no, stay, man, stay. This is how God works. I know I ain't preaching. I ain't reading from no script. I only had enough money to get to DC. Barely get me something to eat and drive back to Charlotte. No hotel. I ain't even talking about the little $2 junk that's off the highway, right. Run by the little family. No, I didn't have no money for none of that.
Oh my God.
It would have been sleeping in my car at the Greyhound.
Wow.
One of the comedians let me stay with them. Shout out to Bob Sumner and Tina Graham. Those are two of the most powerful, influential people behind black comedy that any black comedian will tell you. Mm-hmm. I auditioned in DC. It went very well, but you didn't hear that night. They had like 40 comedians. It got condensed down to 20. We came back the next night.
Wow.
Did another about 7 or 8 or 10 minutes, and then it was maybe a week later, and it was one of them things where I missed the call, but I had a message.
Right. And
let me tell you, I must have played that message back enough times to run the battery out of my phone.
Yeah.
So, it was, I was jumping up around in my apartment, making a bunch of noise.
Do you ever have people trying to finish your joke?
Of course. Of course. Lord have mercy, Jesus.
How do you handle that?
I mean, I have to assess the situation, because sometimes it's just somebody that wants what I call drunk attention.
Right.
They just drunk and they want attention, okay?
Right.
Sometimes I will slightly verbally jab them to let them know to fall back, you know.
Right.
Let me do this, you know. They didn't pay to come see you. I mean,
Right.
whatever your job is, you're probably pretty good at it, but this ain't your job. So
Right.
they didn't come to see you.
Right.
They came to see your boy. So I'm gonna need you to shut it up, you know, in so many words.
In so many words.
In so many words.
So name 3 comedians that have inspired you.
At the top of the list, Jamie Foxx.
Jamie Foxx.
Now I'll tell you why I say that. The triple threat: comedian, singer, actor.
Right.
And he has the triple threat, and that's what I want to try to embody. Second on my list is Steve Harvey. I mean, he's doing everything.
Right.
Everything, clothing, #1 syndicated radio show in just about all of his markets. The third comedian that is one of my favorites is Sinbad. People
Yeah.
forget about Sinbad.
Yeah, that's true.
If you ain't never seen Sinbad, put it on your bucket list. Sinbad does not use one curse word and will stand on stage for an hour and a half and knock your head off.
Name one thing that people say that annoy you.
Oh, #1 at the top of the list is real easy. I bump into somebody
Right.
that haven't seen in a while.
Right.
Yo, what's good with you, boy? Hey, you still doing your little comedy? You ever had somebody curve you or roast you or smack you in the face verbally in your face and not even realize that they did it? That's what that is. First of all, you said, am I still doing comedy?
Comedy. Your
Okay?
job.
Which is disrespectful.
Right.
I didn't ask you if you still second shift at UPS. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Then they take it even further and say, are you still doing your little comedy?
Right, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Anybody knows if you really wanna slight somebody, you be like, I saw you got your new little job. Yeah, I saw you brought your new little car.
Yeah,
Whenever you throw little in there,
Yeah, you've already
that's
done it.
diminishing.
Right.
So stop asking me, am I still doing comedy? Yeah, I'm still doing comedy. Yeah.
Tell me this, because this is that's blowing up right now on social media.
Right.
Is social media comedians.
Right.
What is your take on social media comedians versus stand-up comedians?
Well, first of all, let me be clear. I have no problem with social media comedians. None. It's a new platform. It's a new platform. You can either, if you were there, I always laugh because I'm like, if Snapchat and Instagram and Facebook and Twitter was here or in the middle of its flourishing times like it is now, when I did Bad Boys of Comedy, we would be doing this interview on my yacht.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Because it was just, when I did Bad Boys of Comedy, it was right before social media hit. You know, the millennial generation have taken hold of the power of social media,
Right.
and they have blown it up.
Right.
I mean, even comedy clubs now are looking at your numbers. You can be mad about it all you want. I'm not. You just
Right.
have to adapt.
Right.
You know, you have to adapt. You know, I used to didn't do videos and things of that nature. Now I'm doing more of that, and it's working because
Right.
it's where it is. It's kind of a gray area. It's been a little bit of a melting pot between social media comedians and stand-up comedians. I really don't even want to separate it because a lot of the social media comedians started doing social media and now they're doing stand-up and they're doing well. Some people are funny on social media, maybe not so much doing stand-up, but some are doing both.
What message do you want your fans to leave with?
Okay, real simple. It does not matter. Somebody is sitting at home right now with a book that you've been saying you were gonna write, a business you were saying you were gonna open, whatever the obstacles are, stop waiting. Life is too short. I know that sounds real cliche, but listen, it's some people that you know that was here last week or 2 weeks ago and now they're not here. And I don't mean to be morbid, but that's just real talk. Life is too short. Grab the opportunity when you can grab the opportunity. I started doing comedy later than most comedians did, and a lot of people, quite frankly, would have said, "Oh man, you gonna do comedy now?" Yeah, I'm gonna do comedy now, and it has flourished and been well. If you want to write that book, if you don't even know the title of it, if you know what you want to put in the forward, write the forward. If you want to start a business and you're like, well, my credit's not good. Okay, well go pull up your credit reports tomorrow. That's the first step. Pay one of the old debts off. That's the second step. That gets you a little bit closer to getting a loan, and you can open that business. I am not just giving you lip service. Whatever you want to do it. Even if you fail at it, even if it doesn't come to fruition, because you can look yourself in the mirror and be like, I gave it a shot. I may not become a household name, I probably am, but if I don't, I'm gonna lay down very comfortably in my casket, knowing that I tried and walked that path as long as I could walk it.
Absolutely.
Just that simple.
It's absolutely. And basically what you're saying is it doesn't matter where you start.
It don't matter.
It only matters where you want to go.
That don't matter. Yeah.
So where can fans follow you?
Instagram, comedian Dave Martin. Twitter, it's comic Dave Martin. Facebook is comedian Dave Martin. My Snapchat is also comic Dave Martin. So holla at your boy.
Thank you so much, Dave.
Thank you.
Sharing
Thank you for
this.
having me.
Yeah, being here with us, making us laugh and
Yeah.
everything. This has
Yeah.
been fantastic.
Thank you.
Everybody, guys, this is the end of our show. I'm Laura Starling with Queen City Fame, where we put the Q in Queen and the F in Fame. See you next time.
Fellas, you ever been at the mall and ran into somebody that, used to be the bomb in high school, but now it looked like she got hit by a bomb? You know what I'm talking about? The girl you had the crush on, but now it looked like, something crushed her. You at the mall, you at the food court, and you ever saw somebody that looked so crazy and messed up, you needed somebody from high school to verify you were seeing who you thought you were seeing? You know what I'm talking about, that girl, you looking at her, you like, dude, is that Cheryl from homeroom? I don't know, bruh. I mean, it might be. I don't know. And then she mess around and see you before. You ever had somebody see you and you didn't want them to see you, seeing them see you? And you look at it and she like, hey, Dave. You're like, oh man, now I gotta go over here. And then we just look right out of my lobby like, hey girl, how you doing? You ain't changed a bit, girl. Like, what you do? Cut your hair? Knowing that's a lie. You know she ain't cutting her hair. She been cutting steaks and pies and ham hocks and mac and cheese and cookies. Wow, this is awesome right here, man. Y'all don't understand. This is the first place that ever hired me as a headliner. Shout out to Tito Kuntz and the Omegas of Charlotte. This right here is the first place that ever gave me a big check to tell some jokes as a headliner. You know what I'm saying?
I'm Laura Starling, and this is Queen City Fame, where we put the Q in Queen and the F in Fame. Art expresses our inner thoughts. Art unveils all of our faults. Art is love. Art is blue. Art inspires us. Art is true. Introducing Bree Stallings. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Thank you for having me today.
Well, thank you for allowing us to be here in your studio because it's beautiful, all your artwork.
Thank you.
So, who's Bree Stallings?
So I like to describe myself as a professional artist. In addition to that, I'm an illustrator and a muralist, so you can find my work on t-shirts, on canvases, and all around town on walls.
All around town on walls. So do you tell people that when you meet them, like...
I do, and I used to say that I used to get in trouble for painting on walls, and now I get paid to do it.
That's awesome. So where'd you grow up?
Actually, I grew up not far from here in Gastonia, about 40 minutes down the road, but I spent a lot of time with my grandparents up in Charlotte, so I'm actually a fourth generation Charlotte native.
Okay.
And have that aspect on my father's side, and then Japanese immigration side on my mother's side. So these two very interesting family stories that have come together to create my experience.
How were you exposed to art?
Yeah, so actually in the studio space that we're at now, my mom also has a space here. So
oh my God, you work with your mom?
I work with my mom. And so it's really nice to be, kind of going through this art career together with her. So I've always been exposed to it being around her, but growing up, her dad is a potter. His name is Jack Sexton, and he's a well-known local ceramicist and potter with work all up and down the East Coast.
Oh, wow.
And so I remember growing up in his studio and just being exposed to not only the creative aspect of it, but the business aspect of it. And he used to pay me 25 cents to put handles on coffee mugs. So I thought I was big ballin', making $7 a day.
That's great.
But just the aspect of being around and seeing that it was feasible to make a living and make a brand that way, I think was really influential. And I was never discouraged by my family to pursue art. And so I don't have a lot of friends who've had that, like their families wanted them to be families or doctors.
Right.
My family was always really supportive of me pursuing that art career.
Do you think art can be taught to someone? Or does it have to come natural to be good at it?
Yeah, well, I get that question a lot, especially as a teacher. And to stay on brand, I have to say that it can be taught. And the example that I give my students is it's like being an athlete, and that you work towards it every day. And sometimes you have a hurdle that you hit and it's difficult, but the next time you do it, it'll be a little bit easier. And so I do think muscle memory and things like that are important and relevant. And so you do have to practice.
Right.
I do think there's a little bit of maybe not talent, but you might have an eye for something or a nice line. Like I can recognize that in some of my younger students.
Right.
But I do think it can be taught, because the only thing about art is really training your eye to see what it sees or how to convey a difficult subject in a simple way. And all of those are things that can be taught.
So what inspires your artwork?
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything. I've been working on a series of self-portraits lately, but in addition to that, I do think that all work is self-portraiture, because it does in some way reflect on me or my journey thus far. A lot of things. So I grew up pretty poor, and we lost our home when I was in college to a foreclosure, and so that was an interesting experience. Also, being a white passing artist, even though my mom is of color and my grandmother is of color, how does that shape my experience being a white woman in the world, but understanding that I grew up around women of color and seeing their experiences, all of that feeds in to that. So I'm trying to understand, what is my role in this? How am I processing this? What is my individual identity, and what's my group identity in my family or in my community?
So do you sketch your artwork before you create it?
I'm going to say yes, because I make my students do that. It's not a habit that I like to do, but it's such a huge part of the process. I think a lot of times, especially when I'm doing more experimental work, like including writing or sewing on fabric onto my canvases, I have to do that mental work up front, so then that way I'm not frustrated.
Right.
But I don't always enjoy it, but it is necessary.
Tell us about your artwork at Skyline Superette.
Yeah, so actually Skyline Superette is commissioned by the Mecklenburg County Health Department. That and an additional mural, OT Food, were both commissioned by the health department. And so these are places that are in what we consider food deserts. And so the data that was collected from the health department concluded that these were places that people were going to eat, and that they were not within 7 walkable miles of a grocery store, meaning that it's not walkable if you go down a highway ramp and then up another one, because you wouldn't push a baby in a stroller that way. Or
that's right.
If it's along a highway or through thickets of kudzu, it doesn't count. It's not walkable.
Right.
But people are going here to get food. So the first initiative is that the health department started to put in milk, bread, eggs, cheese, and produce, and making it EBT and WIC certified, so that people can go and actually buy basic produce there. And so the Skyline Superette, if you look at the mural, you'll see that there's lots of fruit-inspired imagery. I've hidden a lot of things. And the idea is that the silhouette grows, and then the woman is flourishing at the end. But it's every choice that you make for yourself or your family follows you health-wise through your life.
Right. So you work with an academy here. What is the name of the academy?
Bahilu Academy.
Bahilu.
Yes, yeah.
So you work with a lot of kids there.
Yeah.
What is the thing you love the most about working with the kids there at the academy?
Yeah, so I can tell you a little bit more about Bahilu Academy. We're a free after-school art space youth development center, and the kids that come to our school come from schools kind of around the area that we call feeder schools, so all Title I schools in the northeast side of Charlotte. And I get to be the lead teaching artist there, so not only do I get to teach the students, I get to train the other teachers, I get to choose the exhibition stuff that we do, and so I have the awesome job of being able to hire based on what the students want. So that is definitely one of my favorite opportunities that I get to practice every day. Sometimes the kids say they want to learn how to break dance, so I hire breakdancing teachers.
No way.
Yes way. They wanted to learn how to skateboard. The floor at Bahilu is crazy and a liability. We cannot skateboard at Bahilu. But I did hire somebody who taught them how to cut out their own skateboards, how to plane the wood, how to add the grip tape on top, how to install the wheels. And so they designed their own skateboard because it's something that they're interested in. So that's definitely one of my favorite things about working with the kids there, is because we have such a small group, I can really base who I hire on their interests.
Great. That's awesome.
It's a lot of fun.
And it's art.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. It's great.
So tell me about the Unwanted Southern Conversations piece.
Yeah.
Why is this piece so near and dear to your heart?
Yeah, so Unwanted Southern Conversations is a really interesting, different piece for me because it's installation, it's sculpture, so no painting involved, other than just the colors on the front. The idea is that when we approach topics that are uncomfortable and unwanted, such as race, privilege, class, gender, that people don't want to talk about them and they clam up. So I presented this game as like it would be on a elementary school playground. So it's supposed to be inviting. So it's actually a tic-tac-toe game that you spin the pieces and they move. And on one side there's images and on the other side there's words. Some facts and some just poetic clips of mine. But the idea is that people will take the time to read the facts. They're presented as that, not as opinions. So then it's like you have to have this kind of dialogue based on that. So it's actually part of a larger exhibition called Tough Talk. So all of them will be different games that you will go through and play as part of the exhibition. And based on your qualifiers, you would choose a certain card. So I am a white woman who has a college education, so I might get a blue card. And so I would go through the exhibition following a blue path. So maybe the games are a little bit harder or a little bit easier for me. Might be different from your qualifiers. The idea is that everybody goes through and has different experiences and watches people have different experiences in real time, because I don't think people recognize that privilege works like that. And at the end, the idea is that you choose another card and have a different experience. So maybe you'll have an easier or more difficult experience the second time. So to be enlightened to say, this isn't everyone's experience because my qualifiers are different.
Wow, that is amazing.
Thank you.
That is awesome. So any big projects coming up that you can let us in on?
Yeah, so Tough Talk is one of them. I'll be touring around the exhibition of that. I have a secondary installation exhibition called The Places in Which I've Lived. And so it includes the home that was foreclosed upon. I'll be doing an installation of that. The dorm room that I was living when that happened and my parents had to move in with us.
Oh, wow.
But even more abstractly than that, like my own body and my mother's body. I've lived in both of those places and how that has influenced how I go through my life. Hearing her talk about her body and how it became how I talk about my body. So it's both abstract and concrete, and it'll be paired with some novellas that I'll be publishing based on the work.
Oh, wow.
And then in addition to that, by the time this airs, it won't be a secret anymore, but I'll be installing the City of Huntersville's first public art commission.
Wow.
So I'm really excited to be the artist chosen for that.
That's great. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Well, can you tell everyone how to follow you and see your artwork, and then they can follow your new commissions as well?
Yeah, you can find me on the internet at www.breestallings.com. And then all of my social media handles are at Bree Quixote. So that's BreeQuixote.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule, because you're busy.
I'm busy. Thank you. It's a meeting of the minds.
It's a meeting of the minds, and it's
been
been a long time coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's the end of our show. I'm Laura Starling, and this is Queen City Fame, where we put the Q in Queen and the F in Fame. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey guys, we're out here at the Matthews Community Center today, and I am starting on my brand new staircase mural. We are commemorating the building's 110-year-old history. Currently it houses the Matthews Ballet and the Matthews Community Theater, but once it was a school. So I've got some elements here that represent the school theme. So these are sign language hands that spell A-R-T for art, some music notes, some science elements, and a throwback to an elementary school math problem because it once again houses an elementary school.
I'm Laura Starling, and this is Queen City Fame, where we put the Q in Queen and the F in Fame. From Dancing with the Stars to ballroom gowns, with moves so sleek you can hear the sounds. The rhythm is gonna get you, the dance moves is gonna move you. Daniel Gonzalez, who are you?
Well, hi Laura, how are you?
Good. How are you, Daniel?
I'm good. That's a really hard question to answer, but I think that if I had to describe myself, the first thing I would say is I'm an artist. I'm an artist and my craft is dancing and design. And it's my life.
So where'd you grow up, Daniel?
I was born and raised in Colombia, South America. I moved to the United States when I was 9, and I've lived in the Carolinas since I was 10 years old.
Oh wow, so you're basically from the Carolinas now.
Yes, I've officially lived longer in the Carolinas than I did in Colombia, so.
So do you get a chance to see your family in Colombia anytime?
I've been once or twice, and they've come to visit, but I don't see them very often.
So Daniel, how were you exposed to dance?
So as a young child, I remember our parents and their friends throwing parties in our neighborhood and having live music and all the adults teaching all the kids to dance. Once we moved to the United States, my mom enrolled me into a dancing school because she felt it was, so important for her sons to know how to dance.
That's pretty cool because you never hear that. Usually parents are saying, oh, go to school to be a doctor, be a lawyer, architect, never dance. Why is that different in your culture?
I think that it's two parts. One, culturally, Latinos love music, love to dance, and I think as a young adult, it's almost a rite of passage for young adults to learn to dance and to go in public and socialize, and I think that that's super important. As well as my mom just really always enjoyed to dance herself, so she always wanted her kids to learn to dance. I didn't think she realized that I would become a professional dancer, but she definitely inspired us to learn and to carry on with it.
Do you consider yourself an athlete being a competitive dancer?
That's a really good question, and my answer will be no. I believe that I have the athleticism of an athlete. I can do things that most athletes can't, but the root of what I do comes from the love of art and artistry and how to express the music and how to express my body. We do compete and there's a competitive aspect of it, but it's a very artistic essence in the way I choose to do my dancing.
So I have a question. Have you ever dropped a partner?
I have, yes. I had a dance partner. We danced together for almost 10 years, and I do remember us trying some tricks and her falling and her being mad at me for a very long time.
Yeah. Now you were on ABC's Dancing with the Stars.
Yeah.
Tell us about that experience.
So the ABC had a segment called Ballroom Battle. And it was for young adults. We were all under 21. We auditioned. My dance partner and I became top 6.
Let's meet our first couple from Buddy Swimmer Dance of Redlands, California. Please give it up for Daniel Gonzalez and Brittany Cherry.
We went to go to LA and film and meet all the stars, and it was really great fun.
Oh, wow. So did you get a lot of pictures?
Oh, I did, yeah. We got to meet all the, the professional dancers and all the stars and producers, and it was like a fantasy.
So you also design ballroom gowns.
I do.
Can you tell us a little bit about your boutique and your ballroom gowns?
Absolutely. So my dance partner and I, our first trip overseas, we needed new costumes and we couldn't afford the costumes. So I went to my mom. I said, we need new costumes. I know you have a sewing machine. Will you help me? And she was like, yeah, absolutely. We started and I made my first costume for my dance partner. Then I built the second one, then I built the third one, and then I just fell in love with it. I fell in love with creating things for people that they loved and that they looked really good dancing in. And right now, I've had my business for a couple of years and I have my clients and wow. It's just, it's almost like a fantasy.
Wow, you know what? I would love to see some of your designs. Would that be possible?
Absolutely.
All right, let's do it.
So the name of my company is called Modelo Couture Designs. We're a boutique ballroom dance and couture gown design house.
So the name of your boutique is called Modelo Couture Design.
Yes.
What inspired the name?
So I wanted something that represented some of my Latin heritage. So when I thought about what I was designing and who I was designing for, I wanted to design dresses, dance dresses for women that were unique to them. Instead of somebody buying a dress off the rack and just wearing it because it's pretty, I wanted to customize something based on the woman's taste, body shape, and and what she felt comfortable in or what she was wanting to do. That's why I decided to go with the name, like the model. They were my models, and I just made it Spanish by adding Modelo, which means a model in Spanish.
So how did you know you'd be able to fit the curves of a dancer?
So, being a dancer myself, I knew what I wanted in terms of movement. As opposed to doing our couture gowns, our ballroom dresses are more defined by how is it going to move. When the lady is walking, how is it going to move? So when I started my whole process, the first thing I did was study. I started studying, different shapes, different cuts, different silhouettes, different body shapes, and what looked good on those kind of body shapes. And then that kind of stems the the design or the idea for it. Then I take a look at what does the woman want and what does the woman want in her dancing. As opposed to just looking beautiful, is what statement is she trying to make? Is she trying to look Latina and sexy? Is she trying to look romantic and classic? Is she trying to look young and playful? Is she trying to look regal and queen-like? It all depends on what the woman wants, and we cater to that, hence the couture.
So you normally name your gowns.
Yes.
Why do you do that?
Because I feel that when I make something custom for somebody, that it deserves a name. They're my art pieces, they're my creations. They're not just dresses. They're expressing a lot about the woman and my vision for the woman and what the woman is looking for. So every dress has a specific name because every dress is specific into a character in which we're designing for.
So what makes your ball gowns different from the rest?
My ball gowns are different because I think that this is art. This is an artistry that goes into it, and I customize everything from what the woman wants to what the woman is in her dance journey and what she's looking for in terms of where she wants to go in her dancing. So based on all those factors, I create something that's specific for them. Instead of just building beautiful things, which we can do, and people just picking them off the rack, when my women wear my dresses, they know that is made for their skin and their emotional and artistic sensations.
You are so amazing.
Thank you.
Oh my God, there needs to be more designers like you.
Thank you.
Oh my God, so how can dancers and now brides find a dress? How can they follow you?
You can check us out on Facebook or Instagram, or you can go to our website, modelocouturedesigns.com. Shoot us an email and we'll be happy to help you find the dress of your dreams.
Daniel, thank you so much for allowing us to be in your lovely home and your beautiful studio. And just get an advanced look at some of the designs that you're working on.
Awesome. Thank you for having me and thank you for interviewing me.
Absolutely. Guys, you heard it right here. I'm Laura Starling, and this is Queen City Fame, where we put the Q in Queen and the F in Fame. See you next time, guys.
everybody. This is your girl Naomi Charnel, and I am the diva with the T, and that's T-E-E, True Entertaining Empowerment. Here for Queen City Fame, where we put the Q in Queen and the F in Fame. You are tuned into the Underground with my special, beautiful guest here, very talented, Bindi Liebowitz. Well, how are you, lady?
Good, I'm great. Happy to be in Charlotte.
How long have you been doing music?
So I've been singing my whole life. Professionally, I've been singing since, I want to say 2014, 2015. But I've been singing since I was a little girl, like 8 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've known since the age of 8 that this is what you wanted to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess I felt like I was good at it and it felt good to do it. It was fun to do it. My mom and dad both sing. They can both sing. So I guess it was just always in me. Music was always around me and I've just always been doing it, yeah.
And what artists would you say have influenced you the most, have inspired you?
I think I had a really strong interest in Lauryn Hill, India.Arie, kind of just all combined there. So yeah, a lot of Aretha Franklin. I think the first song my mom ever heard me sing was Chain of Fools by Aretha Franklin. It was like her greatest hits album and I was going off in the back. And she was like, Chain of Fools, like 8 years old, talking about some chains and it's for 5 long years. Like you haven't even been alive that long to have a broken heart for that time. But yeah, I really connected with like the growling and the raspiness of her voice. So yeah.
Do you write your own music?
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm starting to kind of work on writing with other artists or just other writers in general. Over You and Complicated are both songs that I wrote as soon as I was feeling it, I was writing it down, and that kind of helped me create what I would consider a successful song because it's raw emotion, it's relatable. I know I'm not the only one going through it, so it kind of helps me out in the best way. Yeah.
Okay. Now you were on The Voice.
Yes, I was.
So walk us through that experience.
Okay. I was on The Voice season 11, 2016. It was a wonderful experience. They treat you like you're a real professional musician and they're taking care of you. They know that you're leaving a life and a family and a job to be out there and kind of follow your dreams, and they take all that into consideration. It's not just about making a good show for them, it's also about making sure the artist is taken care of and that your voice is how it should be and that you're doing it in a healthy way. And they kind of remind you, like, make sure you meditate, make sure you have time to yourself today, like make sure you get your head in the right place. And I really like that coaching. You don't get that everywhere you go. And then the relationships you create with the artist, that's beautiful. I'm still friends with everybody that I was with while I was out there, and it was really good relationships, really good networking, a lot of songwriting opportunities out there. So it was a beautiful experience.
Wow, shout out to The Voice.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
And speaking of voice, I'm going to ask you to sing something for me.
All right, I will sing Lauryn Hill's Killing Me Softly. I heard he sang a good song. I heard he had a style. And so I came to see him and listen for a while. And there he was, this young boy, stranger to my eyes, strumming my pain with his fingers.
That was amazing.
Thank you.
I got
Thank you so
goosebumps.
much. Oh, thank you.
Tell us about what you have coming up next, or what you're currently working on and what you have coming up next.
Okay, so I actually just recorded and released my first music video to my single Over You that was shot in Charlotte by 20 Vision Productions. So Charlotte's been showing me so much love and so much support, so I'm really thankful to Charlotte for that. And shout out to Audio Box and 20 Vision Productions because they've put me on to so much out here in terms of getting things done in the studio, recording. A lot of the first version of Over You was recorded in Audio Box, and that's kind of where I linked up with 20 and his team. 5 Montana's been helping me out a lot, so that's kind of how I got the video together. So shout out to all of them. They've been amazing.
So how can people find your music and follow you?
Okay, so all of my music is out on all of the downloading platforms. There's Spotify, Amazon, Google Play, iTunes, Apple Music. It's out there everywhere. And that's Over You and Complicated by Bindi Liebowitz. All of my social media is the same. It's Bindi_Liebowitz, and that's BindiLiebowitz.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
On Queen City Fame, The Underground.
Yes.
We put the Q in Queen and the F in Fame, Bindi Liebowitz. Thank you again, Bindi.
Thank you so much for having me. And I also want to shout out Ham Fam. That's Anthony Hamilton's team. They've been amazing to me as well. So thank you so much.
Shout out to Ham Fam.
Yeah.
Listen. Who otherwise diminished, sufficiently strong to the finish? We're obedient ingredients, airman leap from the top of the stratosphere. Hearing music coming from the water drops and clouds were his friends. Bridges collapse behind the water, most channels participating to become a victim. Being classic like stone caskets and born in a basket. Being classic like stone caskets and born in a basket. Under the boardwalk, the skyscrapers a skywalk, outreach with speech upon the streets of New York. Under the boardwalk, I find it hard to be caught when you're all slow from the salt and the lessons are never taught. Under the boardwalk, all they do is gossip and gawk. You do a dance with the devil, I kick his ass in a waltz. Under the boardwalk, under the boardwalk, boardwalk. Under the boardwalk with third eye vision, just like a hawk I approach the heavens and seek the clouds with a thought. Under the boardwalk, you're sitting in the bushes and stalk. Under the boardwalk, boardwalk. Under the boardwalk, you stop in place with a hawk. Under the boardwalk, I'm the best kept secret, just like a vault. Under the boardwalk, under the boardwalk, boardwalk. I'm fixated to the light like a moth. I am the boondock saint, more than a man of the cloth. I put a hex on his beat, like menstrual blood in the sauce. Man, that was cold, feeling the frost. It's a cold world, and I don't care what your car costs. Under the boardwalk, I'm an old soul, not interested in your faults. Paralyzing then falling, viscerally exciting. With an ape-like crouch, ducking and spying. Put all your anguish aside, cycling through time. Infinite emptiness, lying overhead, black mirror-like. Being ascended and comprehended, lingering storm cloud, free-flowing hummingbird, necessary, handling explosives, my microphone combustible, charming like hand-painted or coin-operated, the clatter of celebratory chain reaction that matter, semi-coherent, cross-dimensional, traveling like shuffling feet, walking through planets, footsteps just seem eternal, and shoulders got dislodged from waving their arms too far and wide. From this riptide, under the boardwalk, empire is where we all hide. Under the boardwalk, under the boardwalk, empire is where we all hide. Falling down, witchcraft.
You're living in a, you're living in a, you're living in a.
Queen City fame serving up at the Mound. Make hits like the Panthers, pound after pound. Keep that southern energy, there's more to go around. Jay the God in the biz and I'm coming for the crown.
They know my name in the Queen City. I make it rain in the